Okay, let's rumble. We are on the Het Amud Aleph 8a2, and we're in the Mishnah. The Mishnah is rolling off of the last machloket, Rabbi Meir, that we saw. Rabbi Meir gave a heter, if you remember. Let's go back to the Mishnah. The Mishnah brought down that there's a difference between the opinion of Meir. Rabbi Meir says that you're allowed to look at the tzarat, right? If you're going to go lenient. And the other opinion, the Chachamim, what do they say? Chachamim say, no, you can't do that. Only once you look at it, you can't decide if it's going to be good or not. You got to go, you got to say the emet. You got to declare it. So therefore, what are you going to do? So therefore, you don't look at it all. What was interesting is, who did we find out the Chachamim was? Remember in the Gemara? On page 7b1, the Gemara says, who's this guy, the Chachamim? And it turned out to be Rav Yossi, remember? Right? Rav Yossi on 7b1, on the top in the second column. Amar Rebbe, Dinir in divrei Rebbe Yossi b'muchlat. Okay? So we learned out that this other opinion is the opinion of Rav Yossi. But we called him the Chachamim in the Mishnah. Clear? Okay. Now let's read the new Mishnah. The Od Amar Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir also said, Milaket Adam Atzmot Aviv Imo. A person is allowed to gather bones of Aviv Imo. We're just talking about burying your mother, right in the Mishnah. Could you imagine that? Literally, from 1 second to the next. But that's exactly what the Mishnah is talking about. Now we have to see what the scenario is, okay? Is that the case? What are we talking about? What does it mean to gather bones? What is that talking about? Halakha is you're allowed to do that, gathering the bones, okay, on Chol HaMoed, mipnei shesimcha hilo, because it's a joyous occasion for him. What does that mean? He hates his mother or father? He's happy to be gathering their bones? No. We're referring over here to a case where he's re-burying them. So there's a couple interactions, a couple scenarios where this would be relevant. One case would be where, as an example, he has the opportunity, after they, for whatever reason, they buried him wherever they buried him, and now we have an opportunity to take the person to be buried with the tombs of the family. Okay? So that's a special thing, to take the person to be buried in the graveyard with all the family. Okay?
A move?
To move them.
So they were buried.
Buried, disinter them, and then you bury them in the family plot, Yani.
Oh,
that's a very big hashuv thing.
It couldn't happen before or after.
It's a good question, but he's doing it on Chol HaMoed. Are you allowed to disinter him or not? Wow. Give you another example. What happens if you're going to take the person and bury them in Israel or something? Okay, so you want to you're upgrading effectively the place that they're buried in. That's the idea here.
Oh,
okay. Let me add one last bit to this. Let me add one last bit to this. Okay. When my grandfather passed away, they're walking through the graveyard. They're ready to bury my grandfather. My father, everyone's crying. Everyone's going nuts. They're about to bury him, put him into the kever. All of a sudden, somebody realizes that they buried him. They were burying him in a place where the not religious people were buried. Not in the chelek of the people. Shomer Shabbat. They do everything. They keep everything. So there was this moment where everyone's flipping out. Could you imagine? They have the body. No, not over here. Chaos. Okay? Chaos. Wow. Imagine Bar Minan, they buried him. Now you find out, Chol HaMoed, you go to visit, you find out, Shema Yisrael, look at the area we're in. I want to disinter, to put, him in a place of kavod. So you're upgrading the place where they're buried.
And you could do it on that day.
But you would never visit a kever during Chol HaMoed.
You would not.
You would never do that, no. Like it's a thing.
Visit
your side. Yeah. You would never do that, right?
No, you would not.
Holiday thing, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But as an example, had you experienced it before, in other words, you realized before the holiday, this is going on, right before the holiday, now you're flipping out, you don't want to leave them 1 extra second amongst the Rishaim, amongst who knows where they are.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay,
that's
now
a little different than just moving them into a family thing.
They're different, but I'm just saying, I'm giving an example.
Yeah,
it's not only to move them, okay? So the reason why I'm giving you both of these examples is because if you look at Rashi, let's look at Rashi. Rashi says, he gathers the bones of his father or mother, he can move them to another place to bury them in the caves or in the burial plot of avotam, of their family. So you see that? So Rashi over here, that's how he says it. an upgrade. It's nice. It's a nicer thing. Okay? If you take a look down at the bottom, at the Rashi, the OG Rashi, like they say, Rashi says, right? Milaket Adam Atzmot Aviv Imo. It's about 7 lines from the bottom in the middle. Likovran b'makom acher hagun. To bury them in an appropriate place, in a mechubad place. So he doesn't make it about the family. See? That's why I gave you both of these interpretations to take into account both opinions from the Rashi.
More like your grandfather.
Exactly. If he, Baruch Hashem, he wasn't buried there. Had he been buried there.
That's what this is saying.
Correct.
A little different, not even.
I'm giving you both sides. Hey, both sides of that coin. Okay. So says the Gemara, says the Mishnah. That's what Rabbi Meir holds. It's joy for him to be able to upgrade them. Now let's take a look. He feels good about what he's doing. So therefore, it's not a downer for him on the Moed to upgrade their burial place. He feels like he's doing something better for his parents, okay? Now, I want to just share with you one other opinion on the Simcha Hilo. So the first opinion that we're seeing over here is that it's a joy for him to move the body to a better place. Okay. Now let's take Simcha Hilo. Look at the Rashi at the bottom. Knock your socks off.
I need a microscope. Wow. Yeah. Good.
What does Rashi say?
Can't see it.
About 7 lines from the bottom. Shesimcha hilo. It's a simcha for him. Kishiro'e otam. When he sees them. Now, I don't know what that means. But it seems to me that what Rashi over here is saying is that there's an element of joy that even though he's lost his parents, like he could see them again, even if it's just the remains of their body in that state. Isn't that mind-blowing?
That's pretty advanced, I think, yeah.
So one opinion is, what's giving him the simcha is the fact that he's doing something nicer for them, like he's upgrading their care. They feel good about that. Imagine, as an example, you suddenly got an opportunity to bury your mother, your grandmother, whoever, to move her from Staten Island to Har HaZeitim, right opposite the Kotel. You're like, wow, I want to do that. You feel great about it, right? Kavod for your mother. That's a simcha. The second opinion over here seems to be saying something a little different. Kishiro'e otam, there's like a simcha that he feels like another connection. Yeah.
But wouldn't that be regardless of them being buried in a better location? The being able to.
So you're asking a genius question. I want to point out. Can you go backwards a little bit in the tiny letters? Go backwards to the Rashi I read you before. What does it mean that you gather the bones? Likovran makom acher, to bury them in another place. You see that word that's in brackets? It's so small.
It is small.
In brackets?
I see a word.
Hagun?
Hagun, yeah, I got it.
Yeah. What does Hagun mean? Hagun means like an appropriate place, a good place. But that's in brackets. Read that sentence now without the brackets. To bury them in makom acher, in another place. Mm-hmm. Imagine you're not reading the brackets. It's not about a better place. Take out the word Hagun. It's in brackets.
Take out the whole word.
It's in brackets, not like the other words. Imagine you don't have those words. Okay. So Rabbi Meir, according to this opinion in Rashi at the bottom, without the word Hagun, he's just saying, you want to bury them in a new place? No problem. You know why? Simcha. Why? Because you saw them.
Oh, that's justifying the upstairs.
So he's asking, if you get Simcha just from seeing the bones, why does it have to be a better place?
Right.
Just because, even if you just move them to some other place.
Right. But the fact that you got to see them.
Yeah. So I was just thinking, maybe that's what. Then I realized that there's 2 problems here.
You're shooting it down.
One problem. One problem is the problem of Chol HaMoed. The other problem is disturbing the met. You're not allowed to disinter a body for no reason. What's the only reason why you'd be moving the body?
Upgrade.
If it's an upgrade, Makom Hagun.
Upgrade, of course.
So therefore, even if the reason is Simchahu Hilo, because you're going to see the bones, it still could only ever be on an upgraded place.
Right.
Not because of Chol HaMoed, that you solved with the Simcha Lo, because you saw it, regardless of where you're moving it to. But you wouldn't be allowed to move it if it wasn't an upgrade.
Why are they even going Chol HaMoed? It's not urgent to move it during Chol HaMoed for an upgrade. You can upgrade them on Monday instead of on Thursday in Chol HaMoed, and Monday is not Chol HaMoed, it's a regular day.
Excellent question. I think the answer to that is that the reason why I would be moving them into a better place is out of kavod for them. So that's a mitzvah, and if I move them on Thursday,
You realize that minute only during.
in other words, I realized before the holiday.
So it had to be an opportunity that arose.
I realized before the holiday.
And now you can move.
Exactly. Let's say a grave opens. Let's say
right.
now I have an opportunity for someone to help out.
Special opportunity.
Right. But the reason why you'd be allowed to do it on Chol, you wouldn't just wait, is because if the whole reason for this is kavod, I don't want to wait 1 second. I want to do it right now. If I do it later, then I did the mitzvah later. I want to do the mitzvah now. And you'll be allowed. And the question then would be, are you allowed to? Says Rabbi, you're allowed to. Okay? So far, so good. Says the Mishnah. Rabbi Yossi Omer, funny. Remember, Rabbi Meir argued with the Chachamim.
Very, rare thing to do, opportunity for people to move the grave.
Yeah.
To deal with it like that much, it's a very one-off.
It's interesting you're saying that.
To deal with it.
It's interesting you're saying that because it's very rare for us.
Oh, okay.
Some of the commentaries talk about this idea that they used to have where they would bury them where, like, everyone would bury them in a shallow pit until the bodies came to bones.
Then they make
And once they were the bones only, then they would move it. Now I was just thinking, why would they do that? Maybe that was just a custom of the way that they did it. Maybe it was because of disease. So they will only move it after it's already just bones. I don't know. Maybe they didn't have a lot of place. Because again, we don't think about these things because we don't live with them. If you go to Eastern Europe, you see in the ghettos, they have the whole cemetery for the whole town of Prague is like,
I was there.
it's the size of this room.
Yeah, and 9 deep.
And 9 deep. And they're like mountains.
Buried 9 deep.
Why is there mountains? Because they
wouldn't
ran out of
know where-
place.
they don't know where to-
They ran out of
they're in
place.
that small area.
So what they do,
That shul.
they brought more mud, put more mud on the top guy, on the guy, buried another guy.
On top of the guy.
And then there's 14 matzevot in the same place. Okay? So we don't have this idea that there's not a place and the government didn't give you a place to bury. Now imagine...
Unless you
Yeah.
want to complete the mitzvah of burying somebody as soon as possible, that minute, then the opportunities are much less to where you could put them. So you would put them somewhere close by, shallow, just to get him buried.
Yeah, but they wouldn't do that to move the guy lechatechila. They wouldn't do that to move the guy lechatechila. But there was a time
that's why they
when they
were
were
shallow
burying
buried.
people in a pit. Yeah,
what I'm saying.
in waiting until the body disintegrate or whatever, decomposed, and they would take the bones, and the bones take a bunch less place. The bones they would then move to a final residence. Wild
But
stuff.
in that case, you're not moving on Chol Moed.
Which case?
Once it's
No,
body's
he's saying
decomposed.
No,
he
it says
said
you're
no,
allowed
it's
to
in
move
his
on
law.
Moed.
No, I understand, but
What's the urgency to do that? Right, that's
all of
what
a sudden
we're
you're waiting for, today's the day that they decompose properly enough to move them.
So it's a good question,
Yeah, well,
but
that's
that
what I'm
might be
saying, there's
answered
opportunity.
that a grave opened up.
Right. He's saying you had this shot.
Or I bought a grave. Or, as an example, remember also, sometimes they didn't let them travel out of the ghetto. So I can't leave. And now they open the gates. So today's Chol Moed. I'm not going to go. Am I allowed to or not, Rabbi?
Opportunity was there,
Yeah. Opportunity knocks. Let's go.
Wow, that's wild.
Wild stuff, right? Okay. So regardless, but we don't think about it this way because it's not our process. But for many people, that was part of the way that they had to think about burial. But also remember, like we said, in every one of these cases, we're learning through the process of the case many halachot that have nothing to do with this. Remember, right? Like the other, we're learning about the spring, but now that's relevant in office, So the same thing is also true with halachot that we're learning over here around this. Okay, says Rabbi Yossi. So again, Rabbi Meir argued with the Chachamim, who turned out to be Rabbi Yossi. Again, Rabbi Meir is arguing with Rabbi Yossi. Okay, Rabbi Yossi Omer av evelula. What are you talking about? Reburying, reinterring your parents? Evel, it's avelut. How are you going to do that on Chol Moed? We're talking about Simcha Ilo. It's a happy occasion because it's an upgrade of a place or because you're seeing them. We're talking about Asur. Gemara continues, Lo ye'orer adam al meto. A person is not allowed to ye'orer. It's very interesting language. Me'orer means to wake up. So ye'orer means you shouldn't get someone to wake you up about your met, about the person who passed away, right? V'lo yespidenu, and you don't bring in someone to do hespedim eulogies. Kodem laregel shiloshim yom, 30 days before the holiday. So from the laws of Rabbi Meir that the first Mishnah was telling us about, we got into Ve'odama Rabbi Meir. We learned this interesting halakha about the reinterring process, okay? Machloke Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yossi. And then the Gemara says on the laws of death. So we went down one tangent road, we tangented even more. And what's that? You can't hire a professional mourner that whips up the people. We'll see exactly what Gemara is going to explain, right? And also not to hire a eulogizer 30 days before the holiday. And the question is why? 30 days? It's a long time. Also, specifically 30 days, what's the 30 days before the holiday? Says the Gemara. Okay. Viraminu, 1 second. Let's compare this opinion. What?
I said I have a lot of questions.
We have to finish the Gemara and then we'll take some questions. Viraminu says the Gemara. You'll see that some of the Gemara is going to answer a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Viraminu, let's take a look and ask a question from a Braita. Someone who gathers the bones of his parents. This is a fascinating halakha that we still hold today. I just was on the phone with a friend. He happens to be here in New York City right now from England, okay? He buried his parents in England. He then took his parents from England and took them up to Israel.
Okay.
Afterwards.
Later date?
Later date. Okay. After they were buried.
Okay.
On the day that you disinter the parents,
You're in Abel.
you have Shiva. Could be 5 years after they're buried. If they're buried,
That day you mourn.
on the day of the disinterring, you mourn.
Rip your
7
shirt,
days?
The whole thing.
You mourn. No. How long? Kol hayom, the whole day. V'la'erev, but that night, already, by evening, im mitabel alehim. It's over. Okay? So you have a 1 day period of mourning. Wild.
Could be an hour only.
Right.
Sorry? However long it is, from the time that they disinter until the time that you rebury. Now I just gave you a wobble.
Oh, wait, so
What did I just say? Until the time
You rebury.
rebury. How long is that?
It could be no time at all.
It could be no time, and then you have till the end of the day, or it could be 2 days.
2-3
Right,
days,
so you're
right?
taking them from here to Israel.
So then, how long is this temporary period?
The Avel stays until he's
The halacha is that when you unearth and you travel, you become onen again. What's the laws of onen?
You don't have to pray. You don't have to. There's a lot of.
Onen
In
is
like limbo.
you're in limbo.
Right.
And we cancel all your mitzvot, not your negative mitzvot, only your zero mitzvot, not even obligations. Even if you want to, you can't.
You can't, right?
So you're in limbo.
In limbo. You want to say
It's almost
beracha,
like-
not allowed.
It's almost like he died that day.
Exactly.
Again.
Isn't that crazy?
That's cool.
Died again. Start another process.
Yeah. So what would happen then? You get to wherever you get to, you bury them, then you have Avelu for the duration of that day. Okay. Says the Gemara. V'amar Rav Chizda, and Rav Chizda says, afilu tzirurin lo besadino, okay, even if they're wrapped up in the sheet, okay, even if the bones are wrapped up and covered. Now, there's a machloket on exactly what Rav Chizda is going on. Because let's take a look back. Again, this is called, in English, a hanging modifier. You know what a hanging modifier is?
This.
Today, I got a new car, and I had a fantastic hot dog.
Both have them.
It was amazing. What was amazing? The hot dog or the car? No way of knowing.
Happened together.
It could be either or both.
Right.
The Mishnah, the Braita starts by saying, if someone gathers bones, you sit in mourning for them the whole day until the evening. In the evening, you don't mitabel on them. Says Rav Chizda, afilu tzirurin lo besadino, even if the bones are wrapped up in the sheet. One opinion says Rav Chizda is telling you a strict opinion. One opinion says Rav Chizda is telling you a lenient opinion. What is he trying to say? Well, it depends. Are we trying to say afilu tzirurin lo besadino still he has to mourn.
If they're wrapped up and away from him, that he's not seeing them.
Yeah, right? Even if it was not uncovered. So it's a strict element. Another opinion is that there's a leniency in Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda is saying, "Afil tzurin lo besadino," even if it's wrapped up in the sadin, he's still patur from the evening. In other words, once the bones are covered, the avelut is over. So is it going on the first part that says that on the unearthing requires you a day, or is it going on the second part which is telling you in the evening it's over, and Rav Chisda is trying to tell you that it's more lenient, that it's still, even though he's not yet buried, but if it's covered, that's enough, and the thing ends. Now, whichever way Rav Chisda is going, because that's not our conversation. What is our conversation is that when you disinter, what's the halakha? There's a law of mourning. So the Gemara is thinking to itself, what is Rabbi Meir talking about? You're gathering the bones, you're doing mourning on the holiday, on Chol HaMoed. Not allowed to do that. So that's the Gemara's question. That's the Gemara's question on Rabbi Meir. So we brought a Braita. The Braita says that if you disinter this avelut, how could Rabbi Meir say that you're allowed to do it?
But they know that.
Sorry?
They know you're not allowed to mourn during Chol HaMoed, all the rabbis.
Correct.
So how would they even?
So that's the question. That's the question of Rabbi Meir.
So is that like
How you let it do it?
Sarat, where you don't want to make someone's situation worse? Meaning
Similar.
the holiday?
Similar, yes.
So you give him a pass
Give him a pass from what?
because he's covered. You're saying because he's covered, will act like he was never disinterred. So therefore,
Excellent.
Loophole.
Amar Abaye.
Lower level.
Abaye says, what is Rabbi Meir? What's Rabbi Meir saying? Simcha hilo. It's the halakha is have to be avel. Amar Abaye. Abaye answers, Ema mepnei shesimchat haregel alav. No. Since it's Chol HaMoed, and therefore, like we know, Chol HaMoed doesn't obligate a person for mourning. Right. Therefore, it cancels out the mourning, in which case, it's not a problem to do it.
Right now the sheet doesn't matter.
Like
That's what Abaye is
You don't
saying.
have to deal with that issue.
Sorry?
You don't have to mourn.
You don't have to. So since I don't have to mourn,
The question of
I'm
the
allowed
sheet
to do
and
it.
The sheet doesn't even matter. All that.
sorry?
The sheet doesn't mean anything at that point now. We got past.
Well, forget the sheet for a
No
minute.
mourning.
Let's go with the first part. Just the disinterring means you have to mourn. Okay? So how could Rabbi Meir say that you're allowed to do this? Simcha hilo. Abaye says, no. It doesn't mean simcha, that there's a simcha in disinterring. The simcha that we're talking about over here is, since globally it's a holiday, it's a time of simcha, that always we know overrules mourning. And once it overrules the mourning, so then there's no mourning now. So therefore, he's allowed to bury because there's no mourning. That's one opinion. Second opinion is, the simcha is so great of the holiday that it's not going to give him a downer from the fact that he has to do this. So therefore, Rabbi Abaye is saying that Rabbi Meir is learning that we're not worried that the guy is going to descend into a state of unhappiness, because it's a holiday time. He knows he's got to do this. He's got to do it, but he's not going to go into a funk. Okay, that's the Abaye's opinion.
He's suggesting that although the first time you bury a parent, you would not mourn during Chol HaMoed, the second time you bury them, you would mourn.
You would still not mourn.
Now, he's saying.
But the alternative,
The question of the Gemara was, how are you telling me you have joy? It says over here you have to mourn.
Right.
On that, Rabbi Meir answers, no, there's no mourning on the holiday, so it's not a problem. The question some of the commentators asked was, when the guy asked the question, didn't he know that there's no mourning on the holiday?
They know.
So the Gemara answers, yeah, of course he knew that. But what he's asking us in principle, if in principle on a regular day, when you do this, you have to mourn, how's Rabbi Meir telling me that this is a joyous occasion? Why are we getting streamers? If this happened on another day, you'd have to mourn. Now it's good, Chol HaMoed knocks out the mourning, fine. But it doesn't mean it's not a happy occasion. And what's the proof? If it was Tuesday, you'd be mourning. On that he answers, it's true, you would on Tuesday be mourning. But since today is Chol HaMoed, which means it knocks out the mourning, it means also that the person is in a state of mind where, it doesn't knock him down. Exactly.
Are people supposed to be joyous when they're mourning?
No, they're not supposed to. But here you're not mourning.
You're using Chol HaMoed as the lift
Right.
as to be the lifting is the Chol HaMoed.
So halachically,
You're not mourning, so it's going to get happier.
Right,
To uplift. So
halachically, I'm not mourning, but also practically, I'm not in a state of sadness because my spirits are high from the holiday. I'm looking at it with a different head. I'm not thinking I lost her. I'm thinking I'm respecting her. You know what I mean? Like that.
So it's neutral.
Neutral. It's neutral enough that it's mutar.
Not happy, not sad.
Yes. Okay.
And the whole thing of happening literally has nothing to do with now the meeting of going to visit or seeing the parent again, basically.
So once we hit this definition, this new definition of simcha
We
hilo,
knocked it out.
yeah, we're now saying that the general state of the holiday is the simcha that it brings. Yeah, it's not saying that it's because you upgraded. It's not saying that. Okay. Now, as I said earlier, it would still need to be an upgrade because otherwise you wouldn't be allowed to disinter. By the way, what happens if it's not an upgrade? It's the same type of a grave. It's not Israel. It's not Kever Abotav. Lateral move.
Shouldn't be allowed to do it.
You wouldn't do it. There is cases where it would still be better, even though it's a lateral move in holiness, where there are times when there's subsidence in the earth. Subsidence is where the earth starts to shift for whatever reason.
an explosion.
Or if there's cases of water,
That's not lateral.
of water. Oh, so it's lateral in terms of the kedusha. Exactly. But it's not lateral in terms of the spot. Exactly.
Because but then that's a better place. You can
Correct.
unequivocally say
But not
that.
because of the
It's
place.
because the existing place went down.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
the next place is better.
The other place is better. But it's only better.
If it's par,
It's only better because of circumstantial
'cause that got worse.
occurrences. Not because this place is a holier place, this place is a family place, same place, but this place doesn't have subsidence.
flooded.
They're having an earthquake over there. I don't know what's going on, right?
But the word was hagun, not
Hagun means appropriate, right?
But it
So
wasn't kadosh, it's not appropriate to have the bones wash away.
that's what I'm proving.
Yeah.
That's what I'm proving. I'm saying that in a scenario where there was completely lateral, you wouldn't be allowed to move them. What would be a case where it's not holier or it's not better per se, that you'd still be allowed to move them? A case where there's a deterioration in the first one, which the next one, even though it's the same one, it could be 2 graves over. It's still better because over there nothing's happening. Okay? Fine. Says the Gemara. Lo ya'arer al meto. The Mishnah says, you're not supposed to have, what's it called? Ye'orer means to awaken. That's literally what the word means. That's the word. So ye'orer, like the shofar, is me'orer. It wakes us up. Someone gives a big speech about the teshuvah, it could wake a person up. Lo ye'orer al meto. Don't wake up your feelings about the dead relative. What does it mean? You're not supposed to do this within 30 days. Amarav, kadhadar saptana b'marava, when they would have these saptana, these eulogists, ones that would come. Now, today, who gives a eulogy? Family members, a local rabbi. Back then, they had a specialty job. A guy who was professional eulogizer. Not only that, they also had women who were professional criers.
They do that in the Arab world.
Now it was a wild item.
Muslims do that.
They do that, and you have people. The women would come, cry, and they would wind
They
up.
don't even know the guy.
Yeah, they're professional. You're paying the guy.
It's like the guys did the protesters for the Hamas protesters. They're the same guys. They're for hire.
Professional
They're
criers.
for hire.
Exactly. So back then there was a professional eulogist. Okay. Kad hadar saptana b'marava. When the saptana, the eulogist would come, marava in the west, to Israel. Amri, they would say, Yibkun imeh kol mirei liba. Let all those that are bitter, that are sad, cry with him. So his job was to sweep through and get everyone in this riled up, crying in the zone. That's what his job was. Now it's actually quite interesting. Take a look at Rashi. Rashi says,
This 30-day prior, that's only if you're
Stana, we're going to get there. Machloket, Rav and Shmuel. Okay? Hold on. Says the Gemara, right at the bottom. You see it?
Back to the microscopic.
Yeah. It's very small, huh? Lo yiskor saptan, 3 lines on the bottom. לא יסגור ספתן לערער על מתו, שמת זה ימים רבים, לחזור על קירובו. Okay? He should not, what should the guy, what do we don't want to do? We don't want the guy, לא יסגור ספתן לערער על מתו, שמת זה ימים רבים, the guy died already a long time ago. Now it's his 30-year arayat. You bring in this professional eulogizer to rile the crowd up. You want everyone to cry again for for this loss, okay? So we're interestingly talking about over here, specifically someone who died a long time ago. Why is Rashi saying that? We'll see in the Gemara in just a second why the case he's instituting is that. So Amar, what's the case? Like the eulogist would say, the Omer, Bechuimi, cry with me, kol marelev, all those that have a bitter heart. Umi shilibo daveh alav, and whoever their heart was upset with them, they were upset inside, holech umaspid al kirovo. He would get the people to start to speak also al kirovo on the person. So he's literally awakening all these feelings in the people, in all of the family, and all
facilitating
the emotional release. Yani, okay? So the halacha is, you don't hire that guy, kodem haregel shiloshim yom, 30 days. Mashna shiloshim yom, why 30 days? You're not going to hire a guy, 31 days mutar, 30 days no? Amar Rav Kana, Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav. Huh?
Within the 30 days prior, don't start with that.
Yeah, 30 days, you don't hire the guy. Okay. Amar Rav Kana, Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav. Rav Kana said in Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav. So this is Rav's opinion.
I can only work 60
But
days,
meaning that it lands, the 30
6 months a
days,
year.
the 30-day hire lands in Chol HaMoed, or nothing to do with Chol HaMoed now.
Up in 30 days before the holiday, not Chol HaMoed.
Oh, that's what a holiday.
Yeah, okay. Maaseh be'adam echad, says Rav, there was a story with a guy, shekines ma'ot la'alot la'regel. The guy is putting together penny to penny to be able to make the trip to Eretz, to the court, the Bet HaMikdash, to be ole regel, okay, to bring the korbanot, to do the prayers. He's putting all his money away. Ubas sabdan ve'amad al petach beto. Comes this professional eulogist, and he comes to the guy's house, and he gives the whole address. Unatlatan ishto, and the guy's wife took all the money that he gathered for the family trip, unitnatan lo, and she gave it to the eulogist. The guy did such a good job. She took all the money that the guy put aside for the trip to go to the Bet HaMikdash, and she gave it to him. V'nimna, and the family and the husband was forced to not be able to go. V'lo alat, he was not able to be ole regel. Okay? Be'otah sha'a amaru, at that time, they said, lo ye'oreh al meto v'lo yaspidenu. A person should not hire a eulogist, nor hire a person to do the eulogy. So not someone who inspires eulogies or crying, and also not someone who's going to do the eulogy. Neither. Kodem laregel shiloshim yom, 30 days. Now, that sounds a little weird, because of this one story. We made a halacha, the Mishnah, da-da-da. The answer is, what Rav is saying is, that for 30 days before the holiday, the halacha is, 30 days before the holiday, a rabbi is supposed to teach all of the laws of the holiday. Okay? Anyway, the rabbi is teaching all the laws of the holiday, the Korban, the Beit HaMikdash. What is the guy inspired to do now that he remembers the holiday? He starts putting money aside for the holiday. But that means that there's money that needs to be added. The holiday is expensive.
That's the catalyst to get to save.
So the halacha is, since we want you to be putting aside money for the holiday, and this money that you're putting aside is for the mitzvot of the holiday, you hire a professional eulogist for a fortune of money, you're going to lose that money that you put aside for the holiday. We don't want you spending the big bucks for a eulogist or a crier during this time, the holiday.
We want it for the holiday.
We want it for the holiday. So during that 30-day period, which is prep time for the holiday, as is evidenced by the teaching of the halachot, don't spend this money.
Right.
So according to Rav, that's the reason why the Mishnah says not to do it. Okay. V'Shmuel Amar, Shmuel says a different reason. No, that's not why. Why 30 days? It takes 30 days for the person to start to be able to move on, to not think about, to forget the pain of losing somebody who passed away. There's a 30-day.
Does this have anything to do with the 30 days?
That's exactly the reason why the 30 days. So the 30 days, the Shiloshim Yom,
Like
saying that's the
other
the
than your
formula,
parent,
you
right?
know.
It's all 30 days.
30 days, the Shiloshim Yom, that's the period of mourning. After 30 days, there's already a little bit of a distance, a little bit of a calming down. The person's little pain is diminished, okay? So says Shemuel, since 30 days is the time period, if I get this guy to rile you up on day 4, when is it winding down? On day 34. What day is that? 4 days into the holiday. So up until 30 days before, you could do this. Once you hit the 30 day before, no more inspiring sadness.
Right.
Okay?
You need prior,
Clear? Yeah, everyone good? Okay. Says the Gemara, my binayu. What's the difference between Rav and Shmuel? These two reasons. The Gemara answers, Ika binayu, the difference between them, the kavid bechinam. Let's say the eulogist, family and a friend of the family.
Free.
He said, no problem, on the house.
Oh, you could do it.
The other guy's like, crying, no problem. I'm still crying from the parade, from the rally at the Columbia University. I'm good, I'm in the crying zone. I'll do it for you for free. According to Rav, that it's about the money, no problem, Faddal, go for it, do it. According to Shmuel, no, the guy's gonna wake up to sadness. That's one answer. There's another answer as well. Second answer is, the difference between Rav and Shmuel. What happens if the person is not your relative? Let's say I hire a eulogist, not for my own relative, but for someone else who's going through this. So for me, there's no sadness. According to Shmuel, I'll be allowed to do that. Let's say I paid for his eulogist. Go for it.
Free and not sad.
According to Rav, that it's about the money, doesn't make a difference who you're spending it on. Spend it on the holiday. Second nafkamina. Third nafkamina. Right? What happens if a person is within the 30 days?
Of a fresh.
The person passed away within 30 days. Are you allowed to hire the guy or not?
Yeah.
According to Rav, still you're spending the money. According to Shmuel, it's about the sadness. He's guy's in the sadness zone anyway.
Even according to
The
Rav.
eulogize is not going to change that. He's in the 30 days. Huh?
Even according to Rav, you can't do it within the 30 days of someone passing away.
Yeah, why? Well, I would say the money issue is still there.
But
Money,
they said they're going to be grieving and mourning anyway.
No, but it's not about the sadness. It's about the money.
He's using the money.
I understand, but
The money is his thing.
According to Rav, that it's about the money. So you could eulogize, no problem.
And
You
free
could
you could do it.
you could free ask no. Your rabbi wants to do it, no problem.
Freedom, it's
But the professional eulogy guy that costs you an arm and a leg, you can't do it now.
but if you hired the whatever someone else, a third party hired the eulogist, then it'd be fine.
Free.
According to Rav, yes.
Then that's probably what they ended up would do.
I don't understand what you're saying. Now.
Someone else would pay.
Someone else will pay, and then that's it. You know.
You're saying there's a way around Rav.
I'm saying there's a way around Rav in a practical standpoint where if the person passes away on day 30 or day 29, out, whatever it is, they're going to find someone to eulogize the person because the family's probably...
Morning.
No. I think you're missing the point. Of course someone's going to eulogize him. But
a
are they getting the pro
professional-
guy
they
or
get the
not?
pro guy.
Why?
The pro guy.
Pro guy is money. And the money you're not allowed to spend in this
Because
time.
a third party will probably do it.
If a third party does it, he's also not allowed to do it.
Oh, I thought you said, you just said, Rabbi, that according to Rav, it was allowed if a third party did it.
No.
Okay.
According to Shmuel, right, that it's about sadness. If I'm hiring the guy for somebody else, I'm not sad.
You're allowed.
So for Shmuel, no problem. For Shmuel, it's the third party is okay. For Rav, it's a money issue. It doesn't make a difference if I'm hiring for him or for the other guy or for myself. It's still money.
Yeah, but the money is because it affects.
You got that? 1 second.
I understand that.
Yeah?
You said it according to Rav 2 minutes ago, that's why I got confused.
I said what according to Rav?
You said that the third party would be okay according to Rav.
Shmuel.
No, according to
I
Shmuel.
know, but...
Maybe I said it
No,
backwards.
Whatever, so
okay.
That's why I got thrown off.
But you got the logic now?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Fine. And then we gave 2 other examples
So if
as
you don't
well.
hire a eulogist 3 weeks before, you're allowed to still have the thing. You still could be sad, and you could still eulogize, but don't hire a guy and spend the money on it.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
You can't hire him. Or
He doesn't want you spending the money
You can't.
inside that period.
You
Either or.
bill me late in a month or something.
Oh, maybe that could work.
Credit.
Yeah, bill me in a month. I feel like the eulogist guy is a COD. Had that all day he deals with people dying. He's worried that they're not going to be able to pay him.
The woman who the eulogist came to the door, she was moved and gave the money. It didn't sound like she was in mourning.
It was their family's mourning.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, it was there. That was the case. Yeah.
She's not allowed to do that.
Okay, so Rav was just giving an example, but the example was also proving the point. Okay, says the Mishnah. We have 5 more minutes. Let's at least do the beginning of the Mishnah so that next time we're coming in fresh.
8b1.
8b1. En chofrin kuchin ufkvarot b'moed. Now, we need a little bit of an intro here. Today, for all of us, all we know when it comes to burying is where you bury someone in the ground. That's what we know, right? It's the only thing we've ever experienced. However, in ancient times, and as well now in modern day Israel, there's other modes of burying as well. If you go to the Bet HaKvarot in outside of Bat Yam, all right, they have a wall, and there's like slots.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, you bury him.
Is that kosher?
Kosher. Now, some people like to do the earth more, they say, because the Pasuk says, you came from earth, you returned to the earth.
Yeah.
The other opinion says, well, yeah, the body decomposes in the wall too, also becomes earth.
Okay.
Right? Now, so it's not the most el afar tashuv, right? So I think we all are comfortable with that idea.
And maybe people have no alternative.
But there's no mitzvah to shoveling the dirt
What?
on top of the
They have to put them in the slot.
into the grave.
For that person, they would put some dirt on his eyes, they would put, right? But they would put the guy in, they would slime in, okay?
Maybe there's no alternative. That's the way they do it in that town, or that's the thing they have.
There were times, where they had no alternative. Correct. Today, already in Eretz Israel, they're already doing double-decker graves. My grandmother was buried in a double-decker grave.
Okay, but there's earth. They put earth.
Earth,
And then earth
a
again.
thing, like a slab,
Like in Prague.
and then they do a second one. Yeah, exactly. But this is from the beginning, and it's done structurally, but they're running out of space. Yeah, running out of space. Okay, so once we understand this, that there's alternate ways of burying, we begin the Mishnah. En chofrin kuchin ukvarot b'moed. We do not dig out, okay? Kuchin is a burial slot. We'll see exactly what it means. Ukvarot b'moed, and a tomb, okay? A kever, we relate to a kever as a grave, but over here we're talking about kever as a tomb. We'll see exactly what it means in the Gemara. On chomer, aval mechanchin et hakuchim b'moed. But what you're allowed to do is you're allowed to be mechanech, to initiate, to switch, to change this kuchin, this niche that you dug out. You're allowed to change it, not dig it fresh. Very similar to what we learned earlier in the beginning about being able to move it, but not to build it fresh. Okay. Ve'osi nivrechet, and also you're allowed to build a nivrechet, which means like a pond. B'moed. Now, simple logic over here is it's talking about what's this pond for? We'll see in a second. But you're able to build a pond b'moed in the holiday. Ve'aron imamet b'chatzer. You're allowed to build a coffin imamet b'chatzer. If the dead body is in the yard, you could build a coffin for him in the yard. Okay? But if he's not in the yard, you can't build it. What's the reason? Since you're not allowed to build on Chol HaMoed. If someone sees you building, they think you're building a dresser. When the dead person is in the yard, everybody knows that you're building it for him, and therefore it's mutar on Chol HaMoed. So with the dead person in the yard, you're allowed to build a new coffin. Rabbi Yehuda says no. Elam ken yesh imo nesarim. Only if he comes with boards. In other words, if he has pre-made boards from before, you're allowed to put it together. Okay? You can't build it from start. Okay? So far, the beginning of the Mishnah is about burial. The end of the Mishnah is about coffins. In the middle, it tells you about a pond. What's the pond about? Swimming? Odds are it's probably also related to the burial. Probably also related to the burial. So the simplest way of understanding this pond is that where they would build these graves and these tombs, they would have a pond there to be able to wash the tachrichim, the clothing, the shrouds for the dead. Okay?
So do everything there.
So yeah, exactly. It's like
There-
on location, you're able to build like a little pond. Exactly. Okay? So far, that is the Mishnah. We have, we're already over, so we'll continue and understand exactly what these kuchin are, what these kivarot are next time, Be'ezrat Hashem. So we are on this Sunday.
8B1.
We're on
start
Sunday.
there, 8B1.
We're on Tuesday. Thursday, we're off. Okay? I'm just putting it in the recording already.
Yeah.
All right, Alamak.
Oh, okay.
Azaku Baruch.